r/ask Reddit. What's the scariest thing that's ever woken you up during the middle of the night? Woke up in the middle of the night to what I thought was my blanket all crammed up between me and the wall. It was uncomfortable, so I went to move it, but instead of a blanket I touched human skin. Of course I immediately freaked the duck out and am now wide awake wondering what the shit to do as I lay in the dark with this thing laying next to me. So I gather up my courage, reach over and grab it and yank it up so I can see what it is. It was storming and lightning flashed very dramatically at the same moment while I realize I'm holding my own arm. I guess I'd been sleeping on my arm and it went so numb that I couldn't even tell I was touching it. Haven't laughed that hard in a while. Shoulder beat the shit out of him. My almost 4-year-old standing at my bedside staring right at me. Once my eyes were open she said, "I brought the monsters in here," then went back to bed. "Thanks kid. I had you so they'd go in your room." Kids get creepy real quick, lol. I put my baby to sleep and went to the living room to watch TV. I was enjoying how peaceful it was until all of a sudden I hear these fast footsteps headed towards me. Seeing this small human run towards me scared the crap out of me. My baby had learned to walk not that long ago and I wasn't used to hearing his little footsteps. At uni, my bedroom was on the ground floor of the house. I was woken up around 4 AM by scratching and heavy breathing at my window, which I tried to ignore for 20 minutes hoping that whoever it was would duck off. It was a long 20 minutes of trying not to shit myself. Off they did not duck. So I decided to go out the front door to kindly ask them to cease their scratching and heavy breathing. Turned out it was one of my housemates who was absolutely off his tits. Lost his keys, wallet and phone on a night out. He thought scratching on my window would be better than knocking on the door or ringing the doorbell. Was a teenager living in a pitch black basement room. Had a strobe light because IDK teenagers are weird. Apparently the on-off switch was loose and moved to on. You don't know fear until you wake up in the middle of the night in a pitch black room with a strobe light flashing. Haha, I was staying at a hotel one night when the fire alarm got tripped. Except I was in a handicapped accessible room. So there was also a strobe light in addition to the ear-splitting alarm. That was not pleasant. A gurgling sound and the smell of a warm shart. I thought I crapped the bed. But it turns out the city sewer system backed up and flooded into my house. In hindsight, crapping the bed would have been much easier to clean up. Lightning hit the tree outside my house. The bang was so loud I saw myself in the third person and honestly thought I died. I can't even explain how that happened. Seeing yourself in the third person probably means you were experiencing depersonalization, which is associated with anxiety, fear/exploding trees. I was 11. Woke up to the sound of screaming and shouting. My cousin, who was living with us, was about 17 and in my room holding the door from being opened. On the other side of the door was my mother screaming to be let in. My sister was in the bunk under mine and she was crying. Suddenly my cousin comes to and opens the door. My mom rushes in and asks my cousin and us if we were okay. There was commotion in the hallway and living room, but I couldn't tell what it was. When I peeked out of the doorway I saw my stepfather holding a small .22 caliber rifle looking out the windows frantically. Suddenly cops show up and start arresting my stepdad. My mom is yelling at the police and I'm sitting there with my cousin and sister like WTF. We all notice the broken sliding glass door and suddenly realize there are large bullet holes all over our house. Through the entertainment center and above the couch where my cousin was sleeping just minutes before. I guess what happened is someone was shooting at some people walking by our apartment and the stray bullets all hit our place. My cousin woke up and immediately thought people were inside shooting us, so he ran to the kids' room and kept anyone from coming in like a badass. My mom woke up and immediately thought to check on us but couldn't get into the room because of my cousin. My stepdad grabbed his gun out of instinct. The cops showed up and assumed my stepdad was the shooter and arrested him. All in all, a pretty fun night. 2 cats mating under my window. My god, it sounded like a convention of demons. Probably just the barbed penis. Woke up groggy, out of sleep paralysis. Went to push off the bed and realized my left arm is gone. There's no way right. Maybe my arm had just fallen out. Reach over with my right arm to feel for my left arm and freak the duck out because all I feel is my torso. Genuinely freak out for a minute, checking and rechecking. My arm is literally gone. And then I felt human skin above my head. My arm had fallen asleep over my head and behind the pillow. Apparently my armpit had played a little joke on my brain and reported back as being a shoulder stump. This happened to me once when I was in high school. My dad woke me up for school. When I sat up I started freaking out because my arm was gone. I couldn't find it and I was half asleep. Finally I felt up and found it. I had to pull it down with my other hand and it was probably at least 15 very painful minutes that I had to wait for feeling to come back. Cat knocked a glass of water off my windowsill and it landed on my head. Thought someone had broken and tried to beat me to death because I thought all the water was blood. My cat is an asshole. My kittens dropped a live bee on my neck while I was sleeping. I was stung, not a pleasant way to wake up. I'm a professional firefighter. When we are on shift at night we are allowed to sleep. It's pretty routine to get woken up for any kind of emergency that we respond to, from shootings, to car wrecks, to house fires with people trapped. When we catch a run the bunk room lights come on, and there's a very gentle beeping sound that is meant to wake us gently, instead of jolting us awake and spiking our blood pressure, before the dispatcher goes on the air to tell us where we are going and why. A few weeks ago at around 3 AM, the lights came on and there was a different sound. It was an alarm that sounded like the world was ending. We all sprang out of our bunks, wide-eyed, ready for battle. Then the dispatcher came on the air to tell us that the National Weather Service had issued a winter storm warning, effective 2 days in the future, in a city that's no stranger to winter weather. We were very confused. A loud bang downstairs and then my dog zooming to the front door and snarling. By the time I had grabbed my gun and got downstairs, whoever it was already peeling out of the driveway. I guess they assumed the house we had just moved into was still unoccupied and got the scare of their lives. Looks like they were trying to kick the door down to gain access. My good boy got some steak the next day as a reward. My sister laughing. She had been dead for about a week. I was staying at my parents' house and was just sleeping on the couch. My dad had passed out in his armchair on the other side of the house and my mom was upstairs in the bedroom. My sister's laughter came from the kitchen, which was sort of between where we all were, and sure enough we all converged on the kitchen because we all heard it. Needless to say we were freaking out a bit. Her phone, which had died, was plugged into a charger in the kitchen. It had turned itself on and begun playing a video of her laughing and playing with her new puppy. We all just stood there and listened to it, then turned it off and went to bed without really talking about it. None of us believe in paranormal stuff and I'm a real atheist skeptic, but it was really jarring tech-based oddity to wake up to a baby crying when we didn't have a baby at the time. This happened to me too. Turned out our baby monitor receiver was on, but not the transmitter in my daughter's room. So it picked up a neighbor's crying baby. Freaked out even more when I heard the mom talk to the baby. Took me a few minutes to piece it together. No baby monitor here at all. It sounded like it was outside my bedroom window. I actually woke up my husband to go look outside and make sure someone didn't abandon their little one. It was so unnerving. It was about 6 years ago and we joke about it now because I ended up pregnant about 4 months later and have a 4-year-old. I heard a gigantic crash, which I presume to mean my cat just found a way to knock my TV or my entire gaming shelf over. But when I went out to see, nothing was wrong. Not even the slightest hint something had fallen. I woke up in the middle of the night to a rustling sound at my bedroom window. I wasn't sure if I had dreamed the noise or not and stared sleepily at the window for a few seconds. Very slowly my window began to slide open. Long thin fingers gripping the glass. My eyes widened. My heart pounded. My breathing froze. For a moment I was paralyzed with pure fear. Something was silently sliding my window open in the dead of night and coming into my room. My fear soon turned into some kind of primal aggression. As quietly as I could I rose out of my bed and reached for the baseball bat underneath it. The dark shape was now climbing through my curtains. Its lanky arms reaching down to my floor. Crawling. Almost slithering in. I turned on the light and took a few fast steps toward the creature with a baseball bat raised ready to deal a crushing blow when I suddenly stopped. It was my little sister, high as a ducking kite. She had forgot her keys, was locked out, and didn't want to wake my parents in the middle of the night while stoned. She thought all this was pretty funny and proceeded to go to her room and pass out. I laid in bed and stared at my ceiling for a while. Adrenaline still pumping, thinking about my almost confrontation with some sort of alien monster / rapist demon, which turned out to be my stone sister. Thankfully I turned the light on before I swung. Not quite the night, but early morning. I was lying there, in some hella deep sleep on a Saturday morning, when suddenly there's a bang on my door. My eyes tear open, but I don't move. The bang hits again, and I don't move. I live alone, so I figured someone was breaking in. I lay there, accepting my fate. I was definitely being robbed and probably being killed. Didn't matter. It was too early to fight. One final bang and the door opens a few inches. It lingers for half a moment before the person on the other side pushes it wide open. And I see the silhouette of my 5-year-old waddle in and whisper, "Daddy, can I have some Cocoa Pebbles, please?" I'd forgotten I had the kids for the weekend. Just moved into a new house. Not really unpacked other than a mattress on the floor. Startle awake in the middle of the night. I'm wide awake and I don't know why. Then I hear this faint noise on the hardwood floor, followed by a small thunk. I wait. Same furtive noise followed by another thunk. This sporadically goes on for a couple of minutes and I decide to investigate it. Go across the hall fully expecting to find someone trying to stealthily rob us or something. Nope. One of the damn cats had taken a round makeup container out of one of the boxes and was baiting it slowly across the empty hardwood floor. I suffer from sleep paralysis. One night I was having an episode where I was stuck on my bed and I heard a loud noise in the dream. When I woke up, I looked out into my room and saw what looked like a man sprawled over my chair, and the bang I heard I figured was him landing there from crawling in my window. Turns out the clothes arranged on my chair made the silhouette look like a guy. Took a while to fall back asleep. My boyfriend screaming at me to wake the duck up. Was a car on fire pretty much right outside our bedroom window. How I managed to sleep through the exploding tire sound is beyond me. That shit was loud. I am still a sleepwalker to this day, but when I was 17 I sleepwalked down 2 floors of my house into our concrete basement. It was all wet because it had recently flooded and we had rolled all the carpet up onto one side of the room. I tripped over the carpet while walking around down there and I woke up alone, in the dark, suddenly falling down onto the wet floor, not sure where I was. I was terrified because I had been in my bed what felt like minutes before. I did it to myself, but it the scariest way I've ever woken up. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.